A really good trailer can feel like its own story. In fact, some are so good that they end up besting the actual movie. But there are also those that ruin the promise of the movie because of how badly they were made. So, what separates a trailer that builds hype from one that kills interest? To make a trailer, the first thing you need to know is that you can't just throw random clips together and hope for the best. Just like a movie, a trailer needs structure comprising a beginning, a middle, and an end. Structure helps the audience follow along. It helps the trailer build energy step by step instead of throwing everything at you at once. Every great trailer follows a 3-act structure, just like a full movie does, except trailers usually start high with a cold open. For example, a start that happens before the opening credits or title sequence. This open is called a hook, and its job is to make sure the audience doesn't click away, and what a hook should look like varies from movie to movie. However, hooks usually use bragging rights. This is when the movie creators show you all the amazing things they have made before to prove they are experts. The trailer for the movie Up does this in a really clever way. It shows us a grumpy old man named Carl, who is saying no to a little boy named Russell. Every time Carl says no, the trailer flashes names of famous movies that Pixar has made, like Toy Story and Finding Nemo.
No.
I could help you cross the street.
No.
It's like they're saying, we made all your favorite things, so listen up. But hooks don't always have to brag. Sometimes they just jump straight into the fun. In the trailer for Into the Spider-Verse, the hook starts with a fast-paced montage of action. We see a character flying through the air and swinging through a city before we even know who he is. It's exciting, colorful, and it grabs your eyes immediately. You see, no matter how you do it, the hook has to make the viewer feel something fast. It could be fear or wonder or even a little bit of sadness. If you can make someone feel an emotion in the first 10 seconds, they will stay to see what happens next. This leads us to the first act of the trailer, the part called the exposition, and it is where we learn the rules of the world and answer the big question of what the movie is actually about. You want to give the audience enough information to make them care, but not so much that you ruin the surprises. In the Spider-Verse trailer, we meet a boy named Miles Morales. He tells us very quickly that his world is different because there isn't just one Spider-Man. For people who have read the comics, this is both familiar and exciting. And for those who haven't, they are equally as excited. In the movie Up, the introduction is a bit different. A narrator talks to us about Carl and says he is a man who dreamt of adventure all his life. But the funny part is that while the voice is saying that, we see Carl struggling just to get down the stairs with a faulty machine.
All his life, Carl Fredricksen dreamed of adventure.
It's a funny way to show us who he is and what his life is like before the big adventure starts. So now that we know who the characters are, we need to make the audience really care about what happens to them. This leads us right into Act 2, which is the escalation. This is where things start to get difficult or dangerous. Here, you introduce the big problem or the main villain who is trying to stop the hero. In Up, we see that Carl's house is floating high in the sky with thousands of balloons. Then he discovers that little Russell accidentally came along for the ride. Suddenly, the stakes are much higher because they are stuck in the air together and facing giant storms and scary mountains. This is where a great trailer builds momentum. It starts small and gets faster and faster, making you feel like you are on a roller coaster that is just about to reach the top. Following this, you have the third act, or the climax. This is the biggest, loudest, and most exciting part of the whole trailer. It's a big pile of action scenes that shows the hero in trouble. In the Up trailer, we see Carl fighting off a strange bird and being chased by a pack of dogs that can actually talk. Basically, the climax is wild and intense. But after all that noise and energy, we reach the outro. For animated movies, the outro is usually a little gift for the audience. It's often a funny joke to leave you smiling. This is usually followed by the title of the movie along with the release date flashing on the screen. But knowing that a trailer needs structure is one thing. Actually making one is a totally different ballgame. It usually starts with something you might not expect. Now, we need to talk about the heart of the trailer, which is the storytelling. Even though the trailer is very short, it still has to tell a tiny version of the movie's story. If you just show a bunch of pretty pictures without a story, people might think it looks nice, but they won't feel like they have to go see it. A great trailer works like a puzzle where a few pieces are missing. It shows you who the hero is, what they want more than anything in the world, and what big scary thing is standing in their way. But telling this tiny story is actually really tricky, and sometimes even the biggest studios in the world get it wrong. Take the movie Frozen, for example. When the first teaser trailer came out, it was actually a bit of a disaster. The trailer barely mentioned Anna or Elsa. It did not show their sister bond, which is the heart of the movie, and it did not show that this was a musical. It did not clearly explain that the story was about a kingdom trapped in winter because of Elsa's powers. Instead, the teaser focused mostly on jokes and side characters such as Olaf and Sven.
Hi everyone, I'm Olaf. Hi.
You're creepy.
Whoa.
It felt like a simple buddy comedy about a snowman and his companions. The main conflict between the sisters was missing, and the emotional core was hidden. So the trailer did not really tell the story of Frozen, and this also affected something we will address later. Then there's the movie Tangled. This one is a famous example of how not to tell a story in a trailer. The studio was worried that boys wouldn't want to see a movie about a girl with long hair, so they changed the name from Rapunzel to Tangled and made the trailer focus almost entirely on the boy, Flynn Rider. They showed him doing cool stunts and making jokes, making it look like a buddy comedy action movie.
I'm a guy with some simple dreams. Are you guarding this?
Yeah.
And worse, they almost turned Rapunzel into a side character in her own story. But even more importantly, the trailer completely ignored Mother Gothel, who was the main antagonist of the film. Even though the movie was a hit, the trailer didn't do a very good job of telling the real story of Rapunzel's growth and her heart. So a much better way to handle storytelling would be to look at the trailer for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. This teaser is like a masterclass in how to do it right. Right away, we know exactly who the hero is. It's Puss, and he is a legendary, brave, and very cocky cat who thinks he can never be defeated. But then the story of the trailer takes a turn. We learn that he has used up 8 of his 9 lives, and he only has 1 left.
You are down to your last life. Mama Luna's always on the lookout for a new lap cat.
Trailer then shows us what he wants: the wishing star and every single thing standing in his way, like the scary wolf, Big Jack Horner, and Goldilocks with the 3 bears. The storytelling here is perfect because it gives us a preview of a story by using a different, shorter story. And having a trailer play out like its own story is actually something a lot of people agree with. But another very important thing to note is that the story in the trailer isn't supposed to have an ending. It should stop right when things are getting most exciting. We don't know if Puss will get his lives back, and we don't know if he will be brave enough to face the wolf, because the trailer told such a good story without finishing it. Basically, it's about giving the audience a taste of the adventure, so they'll want to eat the whole meal. So you have figured out your story and how it will be structured. But before you start, there's something you need to keep in mind, something else that the Tangled trailer failed to do. Again, when you compare the actual movie, Tangled, and its trailer, something else hits you in a bad way. At the heart of the movie, this is a story about personal freedom and emotional control. It is about breaking away from someone who has shaped your reality. These are very heavy issues. However, the trailer felt lighter and more shallow. This is because the tone did not fully match the heart of the film. Note that the tone is the feeling of a movie. It is the mood or the vibe. It tells you how you're supposed to feel while watching. Is this story playful and light? Is it dark and heavy? Is it cool and stylish? Is it warm and emotional? tone answers that question before the plot even gets going. A trailer must show that feeling right away. Within seconds, you should know what kind of ride you are about to take. The music, the colors, the jokes, the speed of the cuts, even the way characters speak, all work together to send that signal. When the tone is clear, the audience understands the experience they are signing up for. When the tone is confusing or misleading, people walk in expecting one thing and get another. The teaser for Tangled failed to match the ideal tone of the actual movie, especially by taking away the presence of Mother Gothel, and even the musical nature of the story. It used Pink's song Trouble, which gave the whole thing a pop and rock vibe when the actual movie has a sweeping orchestral score. If you only saw that trailer, you would think Tangled was a fast, modern, slightly sarcastic comedy. Something light and loud. The tone promised one experience, the movie delivered another. Unfortunately, Kung Fu Panda had a similar issue. The trailer made it look like a simple joke. Fat Panda tries Kung Fu. Lots of clumsy moves and quick gags.
Don't tell Monkey.
It felt like a loud cartoon made only for kids, whereas the real movie has more balance. It has humor, yes, but it also has strong action, beautiful fight scenes, and a powerful message about self-belief. You see, when the tone is wrong, the audience builds the wrong picture in their head. And once that picture is set, you would have to do a very great job with the movie to impress the audience. Luckily for Tangled and Kung Fu Panda, they both exceeded expectations. But what if you also want to get the tone right with the trailer? This is where the very first teaser for The Incredibles comes in. The trailer didn't show big explosions or the whole plot. Instead, it felt like a cool, old-fashioned spy movie from the 60s. The music was jazzy and brassy, and the visuals were very stylish. The whole trailer was just one long, funny scene of Mr. Incredible, who is supposed to be this amazing, strong hero struggling to put on his supersuit because he's gained a little weight. It told us the tone perfectly. This is a movie about superheroes, but it's also about the funny, normal things that happen in a family. It was sophisticated, witty, and it didn't have to lie to get us excited. Now, what if you're making a trailer for a sequel or a new season of a show? This is where staying true to the tone is super important. You have to give the fans exactly what they already love. If the first part was funny, the trailer needs to be funny. If it was a bit scary or bloody, the trailer needs to show that too. A great example is the trailer for Invincible 4. This show is famous for a very specific vibe. It looks like a bright Saturday morning cartoon, but it is actually very mature and has a lot of severe violence. That means when people get hurt, it looks real and it feels heavy. The trailer doesn't hide this. It shows the blood and the intensity because that's what the story's about.
There will be sacrifice.
I'm sorry.
The tone of Invincible is also a depiction of a sincere story about Mark and his complicated family. It has real emotions and family drama, so it made sense when the Invincible 4 trailer portrayed this. So now that we have the story and the mood ready, we need to talk about the magic that actually puts everything together. Editing is where the trailer truly comes alive. You can have a great story and the right tone, but if the editing is messy, slow, or loud in the wrong places, the whole thing falls apart. Editing is about rhythm. It is knowing when to show something, when to hold back, and when to hit hard. And all this involves cutting. That's it. You are cutting certain parts of the movie and then adding them somewhere else to make a whole new video. But this cutting and adding is more complicated than it sounds. We talked before about how a movie trailer needs structure. Well, it turns out that for every part of that structure, whether the hook or the first act, there's a certain format of cutting that is suitable or common. For example, a great trick for the beginning of a trailer is to use a pattern of line, moment, line, moment. This means you show a character saying something important, and then you immediately show a quick action shot that matches what they said. We see this in the trailer for Arcane Season 2. It starts with Vi talking to Kate about her sister Jinx and how she's lost. Every time Vi says a line, the screen flashes with an intense moment that shows exactly what she means.
My sister is gone. There's only Jinx now.
This keeps the audience from getting bored because it gives them a little bit of story, then a little bit of wow factor, then back to the story. It keeps you super excited, especially if you have seen the previous season and waited 3 years for this new one. The trailer for Trolls also uses this kind of format, but this isn't the only way to piece your action and narration together to achieve something engaging from the jump. In the trailer for Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph simply narrates who he is and what he does while the action goes along with his narration. It is a classic way of editing the start of a teaser and is seen in other popular movies like The Boss Baby, Puss in Boots, and many others. However, other times, the editor would cut out a scene from the movie and use that to begin the trailer. This pattern worked for the movie Sing and even for Despicable Me 3. Another secret to great editing is understanding cause and effect. This is when you make two different shots flow together so perfectly that they feel like they belong together. We've all seen a character shoot a gun that suddenly cuts to a huge explosion in another scene. Sometimes it's a punch from a character leading to a scene where another character reacts in pain, just like in the Invincible 4 trailer. The truth is, using this cause and effect style during your editing requires attention to detail and a certain level of creativity, because you're basically inventing a brand new, exciting sequence that doesn't exist in the movie. If you remember what we said about a trailer being its own story, then you know why this detail is important. But here's the thing. While there are a lot of editing tricks you need to know to make a great trailer, we can't cover all without things getting technical really fast. However, there are two things we certainly can't leave out, and that's sound and visuals. For one, the music and the visuals should feel like they are dancing together. One of the best examples of this is the Despicable Me 3 trailer, when the villain Balthazar Brat starts his big heist on a ship. The song Bad by Michael Jackson starts playing exactly on time. Aside from making the whole scene feel fun and rhythmic, it matches the fact that we are dealing with a bad guy. But one other thing you want to be careful about is the volume of the sound. A big mistake in editing is having poor audio balance. This usually happens when the music is too loud, when the audience is supposed to be hearing a dialogue or narration. So you have to balance the sounds so the music builds the excitement while the voices tell us the stakes. Usually the sound starts off quiet and mysterious during the introduction, gets faster and louder during the escalation, and reaches a huge booming peak during the climax. However, while you are picking the best sounds, you also have to hunt for hero shots. These are the 2 or 3 most beautiful or iconic frames in the whole movie. You know, those images that are so cool that people will want to take a screenshot and use them as YouTube thumbnails. At the end of the day, as an editor, you are responsible for showing the movie at its very best. You have one chance to grab a busy person's attention before they scroll away to their next email or video. When you put out a polished professional trailer where the music, the story, and the visuals all fit together perfectly, you are giving the audience a real reason to stop and take notice. Making a great trailer is all about the art of teasing, giving just enough to spark a fire without burning down the mystery. But once the trailer ends and the movie begins, that's when the real action starts. Speaking of action, have you ever wondered how Po went from a clumsy noodle lover to a master of the universe? This video here analyzes every power level in the Kung Fu Panda franchise.